That's kind of the cool thing about internets, because we're all different now, and we always were, but the uniqueness is now very much on display. Courtesy and empathy and gratitude and compassion are more important than love.
About the song Teenage Dirtbag, but how much do you know about Brandon B. Brown? Looking at this lovely tag, my band Late Cambrian toured with Wheatus, opening for them last year, exactly a year ago, September 2014. It was such a mind-blowing experience for us because it was the first time we went on tour for a whole month in the UK and in Europe, all over town. I learned so much from just watching Brandon work. So we shot this episode in Northport, Long Island. It's a really beautiful place. We shot it at the park, near the water, while the sun is setting. Right before we head over there, we had ice cream from the world's best ice cream shop. Also, we went to a place for pizza, Nina's Pizza. And guess what? There is a salad named after Brandon. I had a Wheatus salad for lunch the same day. Enjoy my interview with Brandon B. Brown. Where are you taking me, Brandon?
Just up here, to the spot, to the sweet shop. Best ice cream in the world. This dude Pete makes it every day. There he is.
Oh my god.
Chocolate syrup or hot fudge?
Hot fudge, please. Nuts and whipped cream, that's it. No cherry. No sprinkle.
Oh, a camera.
Hello. I'm just a teenage interview baby. Take one.
This is Nia Real. I'm Olive. Today my guest is Brandon B. Brown, aka BBB. He's an American musician from Northport, New York, lead vocalist, guitarist, frontman of rock group Wheatus. Best known for his 2000 single Teenage Dirtbag, which has charted highly in Australia, UK, Germany, and went on becoming many people's favorite song all over the world. And you are getting ready to get back on the road. There is a 15th anniversary European tour coming up, starting from September 17th.
Right. September 17th we start in Kingston, which is a suburb of London, and we go until just about the beginning of November, all throughout the United Kingdom, Scotland, Wales, England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and then Europe. We're doing Belgium, France, Germany, Switzerland. We have 3 dates in Switzerland. I don't know what that's all about. That's exciting.
Are any of these places new to you?
No, the closest to new is going to be, we've never played in, well, we have one other time we played in Northern Ireland, just one time, and we'll be playing there again for the second time. So that was 15 years ago was the first time we did it.
15 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, very, very old destination for us, but we're going back on, this is just about 15-year anniversary of doing it the first time. So, yeah.
Are you excited?
Very much so. Excited about the fact that we have Mike Doty opening up for us, from formerly of Soul Coughing, brilliant singer-songwriter, big influence on me lyrically and on us as a band that gets records produced, or we produce them ourselves, but I should say that his methods and the sound of his records have been an influence over the years. And we have Gabrielle Sturbins is opening up, singer-songwriter, member of the band Wheatus, as well as another member, Mark, Palmer's band, the Hipstones. He and his wife Anthea have a band that they're opening up as well. All stuff I'm actually big fan of, so it's very exciting.
I wish I can fly there just to.
I know. I had that conversation with MC Front a lot. I said, why can't you just fly over for a couple shows and hang out?
Exactly.
And
would he do it?
well, because he's as big a Mike Doty fan as I am, and he's sort of a little worked up about it because we're backing Mike Doty up as his band this time, so that's quite an honor, and we're really excited about that. And, yeah.
Well, being able to tour with you last year, it was an eye-opener.
You know, ideally you bring all your friends on a tour bus that holds only 13 people, but yeah. Yeah, that would be fun. We should do that again.
Yeah, seeing you up close, like, it was like nothing else I've ever experienced. How you work. You were always like the first one there to load in, last one there to load out. Like, we could have done more work for you, but you just do everything by yourself. I
have this sort of strange compulsion to get a point of view of everything that's going to happen during the entire night, and I hate leaving the venue. That's another thing I don't do unless I absolutely have to. I don't like hotels. I would rather just go from the venue to the bus, and if the dressing room has a couch that doesn't have any urine on it, I'm happy to be there. But you know, I mean, I don't like leaving the venue. The venue feels like my house for the day, so I want to stay there.
Yeah, every time like you walk in a new venue, you investigate like where the bathrooms are, where the stage is, and the green room.
It's like having a new house every day.
That's true.
Yeah, with floors that are sticky.
Sticky floor.
Yeah.
Was that from alcohol?
It's always usually alcohol. Over there, they usually have their alcohol. It has like a lot of sugar in it. It's always like some kind of cranberry mix or snake bite or whatever the hell that shit is, and that stuff gets really sticky. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed.
Rum and Coke.
So like it affected the dance move.
Exactly. Yeah. The Frankenstein floor sticker. Yeah, exactly. There's no moonwalking in UK venues.
Wow. So I'm excited for this tour for you, and I remember you really took care of all of us on tour, like last time in Europe. The first day, our drummer, our bass player lost his bass. Yeah. And you immediately, and you tweeted at the airline, and we got it right back.
To their credit, they found it really fast, and they usually do. I mean, it's a very sort of rare circumstance that they actually lose some piece of your stuff. Now that I've said that, it's going to happen, but that was good. They got right on it. Aer Lingus. Thanks, guys.
And I think another really important memory of mine was on a ferry to Ireland. That
was definitely the scariest ferry ride I've ever done.
Half of us threw up.
Yeah.
And well, you don't have motion sickness?
I don't get motion sickness. I am very good on boats and planes. Doesn't bother me. One time I threw up on a boat because the diesel fumes were flooding back into the cockpit there, and we couldn't get out of it because there was a lightning warning, so we were trapped underneath with these diesel fumes just swimming around, and all of us barfed that day, but that wasn't the motion that did it.
This sounds dangerous.
Yeah, but that ferry ride, that was crazy. We were pitching up and down 2 stories each time because it was a 7-story boat. So
it was from it was the UK to
that was
Ireland.
On the Irish Sea from Holyhead, Wales to
It was
Dublin.
so beautiful though.
It was absolutely gorgeous, but that was a pretty. And I've been on a lot of scary boat rides, but that was up there.
I remember you checking on each of us, and we were all like,
you were all green.
That was really fun. So, do you remember your first tour ever?
Yeah, first tour I ever went on was a small tour of the East Coast opening up for Joan Jett in 1996.
First tour you opening with Joan Jett?
Yeah, my band Hope Factory at the time, actually I should say my friend Ali Nambar's band Hope Factory, I was his lead guitarist. We got a little management deal with Joan Jett's management, and we went and jumped in a van and kind of went up and down the East Coast a little bit with her. She was kind enough to let us do that. really powerful learning experience. Just to see how disciplined you have to be to deliver a consistently entertaining show every night. It was a, you know, there's a lot of mythology before you get on the road that you have in your head. Oh, it's going to be like this. Oh, when we finally get a chance to get out there, blah, 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 blah. None of that stuff ever happens. It's always a lot harder and a lot more uncomfortable. And the rock star dream is disassembled very quickly. And I'm glad I had it disassembled when I was 21 or 22 years old, because had I had that to deal with when Wheatus happened, I really wouldn't have made it. It would have been too difficult, I think, because suddenly there was all of this stuff to do and no sleep to get and no way to get better if you got sick or anything. You just had to figure out how to deal with it, you know. So we did.
Getting sick is really like no good.
Did you get sick on the road last year?
You told us that we will eventually, because it's like a month long, and I did once. I had a cold,
Yeah. Well, you're fortunate, you know, a lot of people, like, they let the cold turn into a cough, and a cough turn into bronchitis, and bronchitis can turn into pneumonia, and you can go downhill really fast. That happened to me in February of 2007 on the Get Happy tour over there. I was kind of forced into a situation where I needed to do our loadout into the trailer with the shirt, nothing but the shirt that I had just worn on stage.
So it was wet.
Absolutely soaked with sweat in the freezing rain for about a half an hour. Woke up the next morning with a 104.3 temperature or whatever, and had to be wheeled into an emergency room, and missed 3 shows after that. That was the only shows I ever missed due to illness that one year.
In 15 years? In
15 years, yeah. There were only 3, yeah.
Do you get asked what was the standout performance? Like, in 15 years you play so many shows. I watched this video, I believe it was it could be in 2000. Our friend Danny Allen sent me that.
Right.
You were playing a sea of people.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell, was it like 7,000?
It's 100,000.
100,000.
Yeah, you're probably talking about the Prince's Trust party in the park.
It could be, yes.
2003, I think, maybe.
Okay.
And there were estimated to be 120,000 people in the park for the concert, with a television audience of 11 million.
Oh my gosh. You said, at one point you said, I wish I can invite all of you on stage.
Yeah. That would have been terrible. It's a good thing I didn't get my wish, but that concert was tremendous. And it's really weird because you're playing, you know, that day was Beyonce played, David Gray played, Meatloaf played. I mean, like, there were so many of these huge artists. We've never felt in the same league as any of these people. And I don't think we aspire to be, but the point is that we got a glimpse of that circus. And we did all right, you know. I mean, if something goes wrong in front of that many people, it's really... And when we were playing live, a lot of the bands were, you know, that day were lip syncing or doing some sort of backing track or something like that. So,
people do lip sync.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't say I blame them. Looking back on it, if I had it to do again, if I knew the risk, I might not have insisted, you know, because...
What's the risk?
The risk is that you fuck up in front of 120,000 people, and 11 million on TV get to see it too, and some of them are DVRing the whole thing, and you know, like, it's just, you could really miss an opportunity. And we walked the tightrope that day, but it worked out. But it was still, I look at it and I go, oh man, we could have screwed that up. That would have been bad.
Knowing you probably will still do it live.
I don't know. I'm older now.
You look almost the same. What's your beauty secret?
I hope I don't think the same. Yeah. Just don't get any sleep. Injure yourself frequently doing the work that you know should have stopped doing a long time ago. To have a band that you shouldn't have, and all that. No, I don't know. I you know what? There's a beauty secret that I have. It's just like I shower like once every 5 days when I'm working in the studio.
Taking notes. Do you smell good after 5 days?
Not really. Gabrielle is, my girlfriend, is fond of asking if there's an onion being cut in the room somewhere because I smell. But yeah, I don't know. I don't care much for what I look like or what I smell like, which is probably not a good idea when you're working with other people. So, yeah.
You never smell to me.
Actually, I take a lot of showers on the road because you got to wash off after. You know, you don't want to go jump in your bunk every night with like stage dirt on you. That's another
And that's
level.
why.
Yeah.
So when you're writing and recording, it's a different story.
Oh no, terrible, shocking. Don't come over.
I see you at. I really dig this hair. I like the longish hair.
It too is a product of neglect. I shave it like once a year, and it's always a spontaneous decision. I wake up with a little bit too much of it in my mouth, and I'm like, God damn it, it's going today.
No wonder it's either this or all gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So on the road, which one is easier?
I did long hair last year. It looks like I'm gonna do it again. Although if I get frustrated, I'll have somebody shave my head on stage. But I think that the short hair is definitely easier. Definitely easier. You know, there are mornings when I kind of looks like I comb my hair with a buttered roll.
Yummy. I remember telling you look like Jared Leto.
Oh, well, he's good. I mean, yeah, he's great.
I cut you off earlier. So which one was the standout performance? Would you say that one or your proudest moment?
Wow. Well, there's like a handful of things that we've done that are amazing to think about. We opened for Joey Ramone at CBGB's in 2001, summer of 2000. No, sorry, 2000. Summer 2000 we did that.
CBGB's.
Yeah. We played, we opened for James Brown in Belgium later that same year, or a year later, I should say. We've just kind of been fortunate enough to have our song and its following kind of go out there and be our manager and be our representative. So there are a lot of proud moments associated with, you know, hey, so-and-so is singing Teenage Dirtbag on this show. Did you know that they were doing that? I'm like, no.
Are people constantly like showing you who's singing?
Yeah, yeah. Like when One Direction did Teenage Dirtbag, I started getting texts and tweets and stuff, and Teenage Dirtbag was trending worldwide on Twitter, and I was like, what the hell is this?
I know.
I don't even understand why this is happening. I'm being punked. and then I figured it out, and you know, that was cool.
It is amazing because they can all relate.
I think my dad said that, yeah, that all kids have to go through this period of
Your dad said that.
Of shittiness. so yeah. Although I think I knew some kids in school who didn't go through any periods of shittiness.
In your
winners.
class?
Yeah. The winners.
Yeah. You talk about that, the incident, the AC/DC shirt in your
that happened in this town, yeah. Well,
we look.
Yeah, you know what? Somebody just wrote. Michael Nelson just wrote a story about that for Stereo Gum. Michael Nelson? I think I'm getting his name right. I hope I am. Anyway, he's a Northporter too, I think. And when I was 10 years old, it was the summer of 1984. A couple of 17 or 18-year-old kids lured their friend into the woods and killed him with knives, claiming it was a ritual and sacrifice for Satan or whatever. And at the time, I was, just like burgeoning atheist with a box of AC/DC and Iron Maiden tapes and on my hip, that I carried around all the time with my Walkman. And you had to, after that happened, you really had to pay a price for listening to that kind of music in these parts. I mean, it was like teachers and parents and religious figures, and everyone was like, "Oh no, you're circling the drain of Satanism if you have Highway to Hell in your tape case." Oh my God! And
it was because
yeah, he got arrested wearing the guy who did it got arrested wearing an AC/DC shirt. It doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean he didn't do his laundry.
It means nothing. And to them it meant everything, because they weren't really willing to take responsibility for or look at themselves for what was going on in the town at the time that would allow the circumstances to arise where teenagers had access to 15 bags of angel dust and you know, tons and tons of acid and whatever else they were on. And you know, it was easier to say, well, it must have been the music. So that was that period of time in the 80s when Tipper Gore was ramming the PMRC down everybody's throat, and a lot of other terrible things were going on in Congress when people trying to make their careers. And you know, I mean, Judas Priest went on trial for, you know, in Texas somewhere for influencing a suicide pact. It was just preposterous. Just a low point in American justice, you know.
In the 80s. Yeah,
bad time in the 80s. But that happened in this little sleepy little Victorian town, fishing village. And for me, the direct result, aside from a new period of alienation from other kids and parents and teachers and stuff, was that my own parents refused to let me go to the local high school because they thought it was like overrun with drugs and Satan. So I went to a boys' school about an hour west of here, closer to the city.
With uniform?
I didn't wear a uniform. We wore a jacket and tie, and I didn't sleep there either. It wasn't a boarding school. It was a commuter school.
Okay.
So we took the train back and forth every day. And I left Northport at like 5:43, and I got back at like 8 p.m. So I was basically I was a commuter having a city job for high school, basically,
exactly,
from the age of 13, which had its own alienation to it.
When do you have time for homework?
Go to bed, right? You did some on the train, and you did some when you got home, and my homework competed a lot with playing guitar. I played guitar during that time intensely. I probably spent about 50 hours a week playing guitar. Yeah, as soon as homework was done, or right before homework, it was guitar. Yeah.
You knew what you...
Well, no, I didn't know I was going to, you know, try and grow up and be a musician. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that would mean. I don't have any family members who do it for a living. I have no, my parents don't know anybody who does it, you know, that kind of thing. I had no, like, living example in my own life of how that works. I just had AC/DC records and Iron Maiden records and Metallica records. So that was how it happened.
Do you think anyone at the time understood you? Like your friends? Are you friends with musicians?
They would have had to exist. The truth is that I really didn't do much socially at all that wasn't either sort of concocted by my parents or school associated for all of high school. When I was at the end of my junior year, I got my learner's permit, and I remember driving to and from a couple of parties in Nassau County, here and there. And if you had a car, you got some people in there because they needed a ride and all of that stuff. But I don't think I was really friends with anybody in the classical sense. I did wind up friends with one kid from high school, a kid named Chris, who I stayed friends with for a long time, but it was I would say that it was mostly completely isolated.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of guitar, tons and tons of guitar.
That's a good thing.
It was great, yeah.
So I want to ask you, Brendan, about working with your team. You have a badass manager.
Tour manager.
Tour manager.
We're self-managed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
sorry.
we do have a badass tour manager. We got really lucky on that one.
You have
Mike Doyle. Yeah.
Yes, a good team. You have your sister sometimes play with you.
Right.
And Gabby.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend.
Yeah. It's group effort. We try to organize it so that everybody benefits. So like Matthew, our bass player, he's been with me the longest. His band has been on tour with us a few times. Will do again. They're called the Ventura Project. Gob has been out on the road with us a few times. I'm producing her record. Yeah, my sister's been out. She plays with Gabrielle. Mark, our keyboard player, is on the road this year with the Hipstones. Yeah, I mean, we've been really fortunate that we've kind of found people who are good bullshit detectors and are they want to have a good show, you know, like that's their goal. Like they don't want anything to go wrong, and they kind of figured out with me a long time ago that the way to make things not go wrong is to work hard on them not going wrong. And then what winds up happening is you have this sort of like everything works, so you have this relaxed show where the fans pick up on you enjoying it yourselves, and that becomes something that they want to pay for again, you know. So it's a vicious cycle of trying to be good. And Mike Doyle, our tour manager, is a very recent addition to the equation, but he's definitely the only guy who I would ever trust doing something like this. I used to do it myself.
Yeah.
Which was very taxing, very difficult work. And sometime around, I think it was 2010, maybe 2011, we found Mike and we really hit it off. And he understood what we do, and we understood that he's better at it than I am. So it was a real win for the team. And yeah, so it's finally in a place. We also have a bus company that we use every year. My friend Paul at Star Cruiser in Liverpool. Again, it's almost like they do the version of a bus company that we would wind up doing if we did a bus company, which is sort of like independent one-man show kind of operation. He's got his girlfriend in his life partner in the office booking all the stuff for him. His kids are running around working in the place. So yeah, we've gone out into the world and found like-minded individuals who do other things that we need them to do for us, and we've been super fortunate.
And Jane?
Jane is our never-ending, never faltering fan club president extraordinaire, who has saved our asses more times than I even probably know.
She wouldn't even tell you there were problems.
Yeah, there have been things that she's gone to Mike, and we need 200 more vinyls picked up at this show 4 days from now. Where is it? I don't know what the name of the place is. Hold on. And I'm sure that they've gone through every logistical nightmare that could possibly be encountered on a tour and wound up figuring it out for my sake and for the band's sake. And Jane is a really crucial piece of the equation. We stay at her house sometimes. She opens her house, which is not a big house. She's not a rich lady. She is a modest art teacher in Birmingham, and she opens up her home to us, and we just invade every corner of it. And she doesn't mind for the 3 days that you need to like kind of set up to go on tour over there. So yeah, I mean, so many favors that she's done for us. I'll never be able to repay Jane Greenwood.
She was so sweet to the fans. I remember, what do you call them for fans who can come in early to see you sound check?
The frogs.
Yes.
Well, they have black frog passes.
What does that mean?
Which means that they're in this sort of club where they wear a pass that has a little emblem on it.
How do you get that?
That's a tough question. There is no application process. We know those people. Those are friends. Those are people who we've been through struggles with, and most of them started out as fans, but got a little closer, realized that we weren't rock stars, we were people, and started helping us in some meaningful way. And the only way to repay it, now that they've hung around for so long, is to give them the kind of access that only a band member would actually also have. So yeah, that's the Black Frog Pass.
That's such a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
I remember cool. Jane being there, like holding the door, like waiting for them to arrive. Like she just
they get
everything.
to come to sound checks, and they get to come backstage, and they get to hang out. They've been on the bus before, which is kind of like the holiest of holies. And you know, but like I said, they're our friends. So and they've helped us, and so we help them back when we can.
Great. You to me are a Twitter master. Like seeing it's 24/7, never ends. I don't know when you sleep.
Twitter bastard.
Master? Did I say bastard?
No, I mean Twitter is a funny, weird thing, right? I don't think anybody's Twitter is anything like anybody else's Twitter. I think every Twitter thing that happens is unique to itself. So we had in 2008 we had 8,000 people who were devoted Black Frog pass holding, you know, real Wheatus fans. And then One Direction covered Teenage Dirtbag. And I used to talk to the old group of people about things that I cannot mention now, you know, because some of these people are little kids,
like
you know,
13, 14.
Yeah. So I just like really fundamentally rewrote the language of our Twitter account, and I think it's been fun. I think it's been to our benefit. I mean, you know, I still say stuff that their parents wouldn't enjoy me saying, but it's nothing that can get anybody in trouble. And you know, back in the day, we were a little bit more sort of like at times X-rated, not necessarily in a pornographic sense, but like, you know, politically maybe harsh. Yeah, we really stay away from that these days. We still espouse what we believe and support what we support, but you know, I don't call Ted Cruz a cunt anymore.
You can say that on my show.
I'm not doing things like that anymore. That's not nice.
Well, people need to know that it's okay to have different point of views.
Yeah. It's made us a little bit smarter, to be fair, because there used to be a bit of an outlet for anger, to be honest. And you know, there was a lot about the last election cycle that pissed us off, but we had to sort of be a little bit veer towards the positive and informative, as opposed to just the outright "you motherfucker." You know?
So that's like Twitter smart.
Twitter, yeah, it's Twitter. The One Direction fans being around opened us up to a new kind of language that we have to use. It's their fault.
It's like training.
It's their fault. I
Twitter
blame
makes
One
you
Direction.
Twitter makes you a better writer.
Yeah, it does. One Direction fans on Twitter make you a better writer. They make you more succinct and informative.
Well, to every one of them, it's like anytime you responded, which you do a lot, and I see that like fans will ask you questions or favors, and you're like, "What's up?" But you help them. Like to them, it's such a big deal. Even sometimes getting a favorite is like, "Whoa!" But you actually talk to them.
Yeah, I wish we had Twitter in 2001 when we first came out.
You should have came up with it.
Yeah, it would have been really great. Twitter and Napster would have been all we ever needed. You know? Well, what's happened on Twitter with the new batch of kids is that, like, you know, I recognize some of the stuff they're going through a little bit. Things are way different for them now, but here and there I say, oh yeah, that happened to me, and you know, I wouldn't call it advice. I would just kind of classify it as being like, yeah, you know, commiseration, I guess. That, you know, just having gone through something that they're obviously going through and it's still happening is a little bit like, oh, you know, I don't even want to acknowledge that this hasn't been fixed yet, you know, but yeah, in a lot of ways I don't think high school is much different, but from when I was young. What more than anything, I think it's just made it easier. You know, it's not so huge that we can't remember people. We can't remember individuals. And I wind up having, you know, many years worth of conversation with some of them at this point. I mean, we've never met personally, but we kind of know each other, you know, which is cool. That's really cool.
And maybe they will show up at the show.
Yeah, and they do. They come to the shows. Our audience has gotten younger because of it.
The One Direction factor.
Yeah, that might be a first for bands from 1999. Audience getting younger, but the ability to talk to them a little bit about what the album is going to be like has been really cool. That's been really cool because I'll get on there when I'm indecisive about something and listen to them talk about it. Listen to it reflected off of what they think of things, and it's not like they're writing our album, but they're definitely taking me out of my indecisive funk when I'm kind of like in a place that's where I don't know what's going on with our recordings or something like that. You know?
So there are 3 questions that I always ask my guests. Number 1, if you can FaceTime, Google Hangout, or Skype with a 20-year-old Brendan, what would you say to him?
You have something very important to talk to a therapist about. Do it now, not later. Not even close to kidding. I would definitely tell him to go seek professional help for something.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you spend too much time by yourself?
No. No. Because it's something that happened. I would say go get the help from a professional that you need. Don't listen to voices of anti-therapy in your life. It's serious. Go.
Anything else?
What else? Don't sign a record deal.
That was
Don't
20
sign a
years
record
also
deal.
Before you signed the first
Yeah,
one.
don't sign a record deal. That will eventually be an enormous waste of time. Get a hold of all of your .orgs and your .nets. We got .com, so that was, I actually did that. But what else? Don't worry about the radio so much. Because back then there was like getting on the radio was a thing that could happen, you know. We would have been fortunate to know what an aging media it was and how corrupt. I didn't know at the time just how corrupted the whole radio thing was. Getting on the radio in the first place was something that back then for some reason it was like in the 90s it was like, you know, Nirvana was on the radio. Weezer was on the radio, Smashing Pumpkins were on the radio. These were like, you know, respectable. That was like good stuff.
So that's like a goal for all musicians.
At the time, when I was 22, we're talking 1994, 95, 96, somewhere around there. One of those 3 years, I was 22. And, you know, that was right before the communications bill got signed and all the radio stations got consolidated. And it would have been nice to know that that was going to happen. To take that part of it out of the equation would have changed the way we did things, I think, fundamentally maybe. No, not fundamentally, just in terms of like who we listened to. Yeah.
So as a young musician, how could he or she define success, or like, you know, actors?
You talking about today? You asking me to give that advice today? I wouldn't dare give that. I think everybody's thing is so completely unique and different from one another that I wouldn't dare give somebody advice like that. Probably send them down the wrong road. What I know of the music industry isn't really that relevant. People coming up now, they need to learn something new about it that I'll never know. So I don't know if it's a good idea for me to tell them what to do.
It's almost like your Twitter. You said you said everyone's Twitter is completely different. It's like what you make of it.
Exactly. That's kind of the cool thing about internets, because we're all different now, and we always were. But the uniqueness is now very much on display. Every unique little splotch of life has its own showcase that it can be displayed in. Some a little too much, some not enough. You know, it's an interesting time for individuality. I'm happy with it.
So we can like generalize it as how we live our life.
You can't generalize it. That's the point.
to how we live life, how like we shouldn't listen to other people's standards.
Especially creative stuff and identity stuff. That's what somebody else has to say about something is probably not relevant. If somebody's teaching you how to build a boat engine, then yeah, listen to the guy who knows how to do it, obviously. But people aren't built like boat engines. They don't all have the same, you know, kind of gears up there, so, you know.
I like that metaphor.
Yeah.
So question number 2. If you are to give advice, this time is really to give advice.
Oh shit.
Or suggestions.
Okay.
Of what worked for you in the areas of
Guaranteed not to work for somebody else, yes.
health, wealth, love, and happiness. What would you say?
Wealth in the music industry is a lost cause.
It can be just for anyone. Doesn't have to be in music.
Wealth, health, what was it?
Love and happiness.
Jesus. Well, health, I don't really drink that much. Weed makes me paranoid. So those are very, very, very seldom things for me. I tend to be almost straight edge because of that. I just don't enjoy being intoxicated. And that has helped quite a bit with my voice and like with staying healthier on the road and all of that kind of stuff. Health and wealth, you said, right? And love and happiness. Wealth, I don't know too much about that. I'm not gonna be a rich person, most likely gonna die pretty poor. My income stream is too erratic for it to be sustainable for any, you know, I mean, I have to be prepared to live in the van, so to speak. And that's the choice I made with my lifestyle and with my occupation. So, but I'm fine with that. That part of it never really bugged me too much. Love. I think that that courtesy and empathy and gratitude and compassion are more important than love. Together they can make a longer lasting partnership than just love. I think love is chemically induced. But that's not to say that there isn't a deep joy in connecting with a single person in a way that's unique amongst other people. I just think that the sustainability of it has more to do with those other things than it has to do with the chemical experience of love.
Courtesy, empathy,
gratitude, and compassion.
Gratitude, I like that. And happiness.
Yes. Oh, happiness, I think, is...
that you have a lot. Do you?
Me? At times. Getting better later in life. Wasn't a very happy teenager at all. Wasn't even not so happier in my 20s person. And I think I don't buy into the myth that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think that what doesn't kill you can kill somebody else. So I'm not big on tough love or any of that. I think that's a bunch of horse shit. I think that that more of what we become through difficulty has to do with the context that we eventually see it in. Then once you get through it, then what it does to you. What it does to you is probably bad. What you can see it as if you come through it into a place of rational analysis is potentially beneficial, depending on what you do with it. So I don't, happiness is, I think, probably I would define it as comfort with one's own individual nature, the knowledge that it isn't threatened or endangered in any way by society or by yourself, and also not feeling like you're wasting your time. When I was a kid, I went to a lot of religious stuff, like religion class and church and all that stuff, and I would very much like to have that time back. I think that's a big
Me
waste.
too.
Yeah, big waste of time here on Earth. trying to pray to something. It's like, stop.
Were you really into it?
No, I was never into it. I kind of really stopped being a religious person around the age of 9 or 10, maybe even 8. I started to think, this risen from the dead stuff just sounds like bullshit to me, or a zombie movie. But the real test came, like, I had a really hard time in high school. This one particular year, I was feeling pretty rough, and but for about 2 weeks, I decided to try religion again, and went down to the chapel and prayed before lunch every day and all that stuff. And I just, at the end of those 2 weeks, I just had this moment of like, what am I doing? Stop! And that was the real second time where I just went, this is a bunch of fucking bullshit. So yeah, that was enough of that time wasting for me.
I have never talked about it on camera. Okay, I have to look now. Is that a dog or a person?
It's
French bulldog.
it's a French bulldog, basically yelling at somebody.
At that other dog that I can't tell. Is that a Cocker Spaniel?
That dog's going.
But it sounds very human.
Having human emotions. How about that?
It's probably mimicking human voices. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised.
That is true. What happened at home? Yeah, I haven't talked about it in any videos, but I grew up in church too.
Right.
And then, like, when I was 20, I just stepped out of a circle and looked back in, and I thought, I didn't know there's all these beautiful things. And,
You mean this window opens?
and there are no rules, like Twitter. You name your own rules.
Yeah.
As long as you still have, love and...
I think there's plenty of rules. If you want to get along with the rest of the humans on Earth, there's rules. But they're secular, and they're better left secular. And when they get religious, that's when we get into murder. That's when they get bloodthirsty.
So much like repressed and...
You can justify anything if you have a spaghetti monster in the sky to guide you. Because no one can see it, No one can verify. Trust me.
Yeah, I like to be... I like logic.
So does Spock.
But I agree, like to me, whatever people think is God is just nature and goodness.
This is
Life.
we're just sitting on a little rock, a little tiny pebble of space dust that conglomerated a very short time ago. And it's whirling around another incandescent
Very Rick and Morty.
ball of space dust. And, if somebody presumes to concoct rules based on what they think is causing all that, they're full of shit, and so are their rules.
I like that little insert. So the last question. What is your absolute favorite memory of New York City?
Too many. Too many.
Okay, you can tell us all of them.
I love New York. I grew up here about 30 miles east of New York City. The city was always a place that beckoned and drew my family in. We went in to see shows. We went in to go to restaurants. We went in. My mother still goes in and out almost every day for her work. She's an interior decorator. I love the city. I started driving in Manhattan when I was around 16, 17. That was the first time I drove in Manhattan. And I have too many memories to really pick an individual one, but I'll scrape some for you.
Thank you.
When I was about 17, me and that guy Chris I mentioned from high school, we visited his father at the 74th floor of World Trade II, I believe. It was Dean Witter offices, and that was the first time I was ever in the Twin Towers. And well, it was the second time actually, and I went all the way up to his floor, and they had the glass windows that were floor to ceiling. So I jumped up on the little radiator and I put my head against the window, against the glass, and looked straight down. And on the edge of the building and thought, wow, that's cool. So being in the Twin Towers was a big deal.
You're not afraid of heights?
No, not at all. I worked in, well, if they're dangerous, I am. Like, I'm not going to hang off the edge of the building or anything like that.
Or a volcano.
Yeah, right. I worked in Times Square for a while in the late 90s. It was my day job, and I have some really fond memories of this little Dominican place across from my office that served, that had like $5 lunch specials where you'd get the rice and the beans and the plantains and a big fried fish or a, you know, braised fish on top of it, and a really good coffee. And I spent a lot of really important self-fulfilling moments in that little place across the street on 46th and 7th.
Is it still there?
I don't know. I don't think it is. I think a few years ago I walked back up there to see if it was, because I wanted that coffee, and I couldn't find it, and then I couldn't figure out if it was because I was on the wrong block or something, you know. But I ran out of time and had to go. But yeah. Like I said earlier, one time, the only time Wheatus ever played CBGB's was opening for Joey Ramone and Ronnie Spector. Back in, I think it was probably July of the year 2000. That was incredible. That was really cool. Yeah. New York moments. I think my other memories are probably staring at it from a roof nearby.
From your home in Brooklyn?
Yeah, from my home in Brooklyn, just staring at it from the roof and thinking, look, somebody made that. People made that thing. Holy shit. And I always have these moments of like, what would the Dutch settlers think about this? If I could grab one of those guys and blast him through time to this moment, we're standing on this roof looking at these buildings, looking at the Chrysler building and the Monel spike on
New
top.
Amsterdam.
Yeah, like what would they think? What would those guys think of this shit? Their minds would be shattered. Maybe. Or maybe they'd be like, oh, okay, so you figured it out, thanks. This is what we were planning, only we didn't have, you know, steel refinement and stuff.
That's what we were planning.
Yeah.
Ooh. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being on New York Real.
Thanks for having me. What a treat. That was awesome.
Yeah. I was talking to, bringing Danny up again, about how... Why are you turning it off?
It was turned off.
Oh, you did.
There's gonna be a couple like frozen pictures of Olive, like
It's only good.
Yeah?
Frozen olives.
Yeah, it's been frozen for a
This
while.
is fine.
Oh my god, the iced tea was funny, right?
Yeah.
The frozen one. Okay, I was gonna say, yeah. I was talking to our friend, Danny Allen, and about, because I told him that I'm interviewing you, and then we were talking about all the things that happened on tour, and he has been a fan and a friend for a long time. And there was one special moment that he shared about really meeting you. He said you guys were chilling on the bus resting, and you knew of him because he, I think, drove you around before as a friend. And but he wasn't sure if you actually know him, and he said in the dark, in the shadow, a hand came out, and then he saw the silhouette of someone wearing a hoodie.
I sound like a Jedi. In this particular myth, I play the role of Qui-Gon Brown.
Saying, Danny Allen, finally we meet.
Hi, I'm Mace Windouche.
Like, I just want to bring this up because you give so many people that moment of respect or recognition, and even just being your friend, and I feel like a part of me is a fangirl.
Yeah! Yay!
And we
got Olive.
We feel...
Holy shit, we're so much fucking more powerful than I ever possibly imagined.
This is a very unique New York Real. And when you're around in your presence, we feel safe.
All right, yeah, I'll fight anybody. Don't touch my friends.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for giving a shit and for doing this the right way and all that stuff. You plan the sunset and you plan the cicadas and the barking French bulldog.
They're all
John's
like
being
movie
eaten by
extras.
gnats.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. That was awesome. Anytime. I'll do that again. That was fun. We'll get the whole band next time.
Yeah, we should.
We'll play a set for you.